Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levi, and joining me today on the very special quarantine edition of Half the Battle is UFC welterweight Belal. Remember the name Muhammad? Belal, welcome back to Half the Battle.
What's up, bro? Thanks for having me back.
Oh, man, it's my pleasure. So, look, old school fans of Half the Battle will remember I had a young prospect named Belal Muhammad on my show right before you fought Steve Carl in what would end up being your last regional fight before your UFC debut. It's amazing how things have panned out. What would you say is the biggest difference between Belal Muhammad in 2020 versus the Belal Muhammad that was getting ready to fight Steve Carl?
Just growth. I feel like I'm growing every year, even as a fighter, martial artist, even as a person, man. If you're not growing every year, then you're not doing it right. So I feel like I've grown a lot, and I feel like about to start making my move in the UFC.
Now, man, how's this quarantine life been treating you? Because it's different for everybody. You know, for some of us homebodies, it ain't as bad, but some people love to go out all the time. I know it sucks not being able to go to jiu-jitsu. How's quarantine life treating you, Bilal?
I mean, it's been all right. I'm not one of those guys that goes out anyway, but I'll just going to the gym, my regular gym process, and training. You know, I was training for a fight, so I had to figure out a lot of different things because I usually train in Milwaukee, so now I'm doing all my training in Chicago. So it's just a lot more driving, a lot more figuring out different times, different training partners, being smarter with smaller groups of guys, being careful with making sure you're not going with just new guys all the time. So it's been difficult, but getting through it.
What's your lifestyle like with or without a fight? I mean, are you someone that stays active regardless?
Yeah. I'm always in the room training. I like to always be learning no matter what. The gym is where I'm the best at. So the only difference I would say is just eating wise, diet wise. When I have a fight, I got to clean up my diet. When I'm not fighting, I can eat whatever, but I'm still training basically as much.
So the current form of your UFC career, I mean, you've won 6 of your last 7. You're looking the best you ever have. How are you personally feeling about this current version of Bilal Muhammad?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling like I'm coming into my own, ready to make statements. I'm just waiting for them bigger fights, ranked fights. But all I can do is just keep winning and keep going out there and showing out. So eventually the UFC will start pushing me and promoting me the way I feel like I need to be.
So obviously you were scheduled to fight Lyman Good. He unfortunately pulled out the fight. Now, is this a situation where they're just going to match y'all up on a different date, or are they looking for a new opponent for you?
They're actually looking for a new opponent. Just trying to figure some stuff out. They've already like sent me stuff telling me that they need to get me tested for corona and stuff like that. So I'm assuming they're still looking, searching for guys, and hopefully I'll be on that fight card next week.
Hey, for everyone listening, I hope you all paid attention to what he just said. They are testing the UFC fighters for corona, so that's good to know. But just real quick, I wanted your take
Yeah,
on.
they're testing the fighters and the corners, so they asked for all of our addresses. So hopefully it's gonna be a good clean event.
Yeah, 100%. So just even though you're going to fight a different opponent, I kind of wanted your thoughts on the potential Lyman Good fight. I mean, he's a very talented guy. He's known for his striking. We have seen holes in the grappling area of things. What's your opinion?
I feel like it would have been a good fight, a fun fight for the fans. He was looking hot after his last win over Rincontre. Uh, he had a big knockout there. So I was pushing for a ranked guy, but I feel like he has a big enough name where people know who he is, former Bellator champion, and I feel like the winner of that fight between us two would have got a ranked opponent next. So no, it was a tough opponent I was training for. So I was training hard. So now, like I said, I'm ready for anybody now. So even if they do replace them, I was training already hard already. So it doesn't matter who they put in front of me.
So your last fight, man, was in Abu Dhabi, and dude, I gotta say, obviously the fight was great. We'll talk about that in a sec, but the lead up to the fight, man, I saw those videos. You were treated like royalty down there. I mean, how good did it feel in a way to somewhat come home a bit and be treated like a king?
Man, it was amazing. It was amazing. Just like the hospitality down there, the people down there were amazing. And you really didn't expect people to be that big of fans down there because I know they're more just guys, but man, they all loved MMA. Like we'll sit there even before the fight. We'll be at the mall and be a line of people running up to us like they already knew who we were. So it was just crazy. It was a big difference from there and here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I mean, if things were ideal, when would you like to go back and visit?
Man, I'm hoping they're talking about they're supposed to be going down there 5 years in a row. I don't know what's going to happen now with this whole Corona thing. They're going to have to switch a lot of stuff up. But I was planning on being on every one of them cards, hopefully. But like even now, still like I met a couple people down there that are really cool, and they're like anytime I want to come down there, I can visit, chill at their house. So I mean, it's a great place to do vacation and stuff like that. So hopefully get a couple fights out the way now, then start thinking about vacations.
So in your last fight against Sato, you actually got the first submission win of your career. And it's not for lack of trying. I mean, we've seen those beautiful entries. We've seen those back takes. But for it to finally come to fruition, you got that tap. How good did that feel? And how proud was Professor Wanderlei?
Man, it was great, man. It was awesome. Like my coaches, Daniel Levi and stuff, they're the type that where I'll get frustrated after a fight, even if I had a guy's back for a while or something like that. I'll win a fight, but I always want that finish. But they're just say they're gonna come, they're gonna be patient. Like his biggest thing is just telling me, be patient, be patient. We're gonna get the positions, we're getting into the positions where we can finish people. Now it's just inches, 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 and like I said, I feel like I'm getting better every fight, every practice, every day I'm training. I'm getting inches better. So now I feel like now that I got that one out the way, hopefully more will start coming now.
And currently you're a brown belt under Professor Wanderlei?
Yeah. I just got my brown belt under him. So I haven't been able to do gi in a while since this whole Corona thing, but hopefully I'll get back to classes now
How is
once
it
it's
being
over.
trained under someone from such a serious lineage like Professor Wanderlei?
Man, it's awesome. It's and then his just training methods are different than a lot of people's, where he bases a lot of his stuff off of fighting. So he'll teach you stuff. If you're not like in a pro class, he's teaching you stuff that you're going to be able to use in a fight. Not a lot of guys will show you a lot of different things here or there, and like I'll sit there and play guard a lot, and he'll be like, "No, you're a top guy. Stay on top. We're not playing this jits game." He's more of like a wrestling base. He knows what wins fights. He knows what gets you to places. A lot of the guys on the team are really good at submissions, but he likes to put people in different spots where it's going to help them win more. You could be on the bottom and throwing up submissions here and there, but you're still on bottom, and judges are looking at that. Nowadays, judges don't really know a lot, so they're seeing you on bottom, even though if you're throwing submissions, elbowing out the bottom, they're still giving you the loss because you're on the other guys on top. So with him, his methods of teaching are trying to get you to win and trying to keep you forward and keep the judges knowing that you're on top, you're winning.
So in other words, y'all favor a position over submission.
Yeah, basically.
So, man, obviously, we all know you fought Curtis Millender in the ATL. And, dude, I remember you sent me a text that you were in the lobby and you were treated like a rock star when you were in Atlanta. I saw Belal Muhammad take a picture with every single fan. How was that reception fighting in Atlanta, Georgia?
Man, that was awesome. You know, a couple places where you go, you don't expect a lot, but man, it was awesome over there. It was a great time. It was a great card and a great fight. Like I said, I feel like now I'm starting to become a household name where people are starting to want to see me fight a lot. And then once I'm on any cards, you're going to have a lot of people come up to me. And I'm one of those people that I don't take anything for granted. So anytime a fan comes up to me, asks me for a picture, I'm going to give it to them because you never know how long they're going to ask you for pictures for.
It's a great point, man. So, obviously, look, lots of people are going through a tough time right now. What kind of recommendations would you give the people during this quarantine?
Just that I feel like there's always sun at the end of a storm. You know, I feel like that if everybody just stays patient, everybody does the right things, even staying healthier now, man. Like a lot of people now, instead of a lot of people are complaining like, oh, I don't have this, I don't do that, I don't do that. Just be more grateful for what you have. You have a roof over your head. If you have food in the fridge, you know, you're blessed. That's the biggest thing right now. And I feel like a lot of people now are realizing how blessed they are, and then you're having people realize, damn, I missed work or I took work for granted. You know, I always said I wanted this much time off or that much time off, but then you're not realizing that if you have money in the bank, there's people out there that don't have money in the bank. There's guys out here that work at gyms and they don't have they're not having that residual income coming because they were working on their own. They only get paid off of when they're in the gym, or fighters that only get paid when they're fighting. Like they don't have any other jobs where they could get severance pay or back pay from their offices or whatever. And a lot of people don't know how to save. So I feel like now it's a lot of things for teaching people that stuff's not always going to be running smooth, man. You have to stay strong mentally, and then just be prepared for the worst.
Well said, man. So to flip things around a little bit, UFC, they're doing a great thing, man. They scheduled an event, UFC 249. They gave us a stack card like they promised, and there's one welterweight matchup on the card. And obviously, everyone that's been following you knows that you've been killing it with these fight predictions. So I got to know your prediction on the one welterweight matchup on the card between Luque and Price. It's actually a rematch. You think Nico can get that one back, or you think Luque has his number?
I mean, the first fight wasn't really that competitive, but with Nico, anything's possible with him. You know, he has wild punches, wild shots, and but I feel like Luque is one of those guys where he stays in position a lot. He doesn't he'll brawl, but he stays composed and he keeps his hands up a lot. Nico catch guys a lot because they'll sit there and brawl with their hands down, or they'll get caught in weird positions. I feel like it's gonna be kind of like the same fight where Luque is gonna walk him down, push him against the fence, and then I think he's gonna catch him.
So in other words, you think no matter how many times they fight, it's just a tough matchup for Nico there.
Yeah, I feel like I don't feel like Nico is one of those guys to game plan. I feel like if you saw the way that Wonderboy fought Luque, you know, Wonderboy has a great style of hit and move, hit and move, hit and not get hit. Nico is not going to come with a game plan. I don't feel like he's one of those guys that's going to go out there and fight, and wherever the fight takes him, he's going to go from there. So like if it's a brawl, Nico's gonna be like, all right, I'm a brawl. If it goes to the ground, like you see when Vic took him down to the ground, all right, I'll knock you off in the ground. So like he's one of those guys who will just take what happens to him. Other guys that I feel like beat Luque are guys that game plan against them. Like you see Wonderboy stuck and move, and then dude from London, Leon Edwards, took him down a lot and played the smart game with him. So I feel like yeah, Luque is gonna end up coming on top in this one.
And man, I ask you this every time I have you on the show. How's the vibe at Rufus Sport these days? Because obviously you got yourself who's won 6 of 7. Sergio just made a huge statement in Bellator. Gerald's coming off the submission. Biggie's on a 3-fight win streak. You got Felder with the Fight of the Year candidate. And Matador Sanchez is always killing it. So it seems like you guys are in a really good place right now.
Yeah, man, we had some good momentum going. It just sucks that, you know, the gym's closed right now. We haven't been to the guys, and just having that family bond with your boys, like not even really training wise, just having that brothers, you know, when you're going to the gym and you just know that, all right, we're just joking around, playing around. It's just that whole atmosphere is a whole difference, you know, like even right now where like now I had to like drive 40 minutes to a gym to train or work out, and then I have to figure out, all right, yo, could you train later today or that? Over there, it was just like a good setup. You know, I was literally living right across the street, walking across the street, and then, you know, just hanging out with your boys. But everybody over there is, like you said, everybody over there is good. So it's a small group, but they're all beasts and they're all monsters, and they're all just trying to help each other out. So it's a great family atmosphere, and just can't wait for the gyms to be able to back up again so we get back to that.
So you're literally on the cusp of the top 15 of the UFC welterweight division. You think one more win and there's no more denying Belal Muhammad a spot in the rankings?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. Like, I feel like I should still be ranked even right now. I feel like I should be ranked, but I don't know who comes up with these dumbass rankings. But yeah, you know, like I don't really care about rankings. I don't care if there's a number next to my name. I'm just gonna keep winning, and I get paid no matter what. So I'm just gonna keep fighting whoever they put in front of me.
And what do you think about the current state of the UFC welterweight division? Because for my money, it's the most exciting it's ever been in years.
Yeah, like I feel like it's one of the most exciting divisions, and as you can see too, you know, like I feel like a good run of fights, a good run of finishes will get you that title shot, will get you near that title shot. So I feel like rankings don't have that big of a deal with it. If you look at Masvidal, he had 3 wins back to back to back. Didn't fight a top 5 guy, but now he's about to fight for the title just because of that momentum he caught up with. And then he had the fans running on his side. And even like Dominic Cruz, you never know. Like he hasn't fought in a year and a half, but he's about to get a title shot. So like you could always slip into that mode. You never know. Even right now with all these guys, a lot of guys aren't training right now. They're not going hard. So even when the fights start coming back to back to back, like the UFC said, they want to put on a show every week. You're gonna have a lot of guys that are rusty and aren't well trained and are just fighting just to get paid, and they're not gonna be ready. Me, I'm working hard. I'm still grinding. I feel like I'm getting better every day. So like I'm gonna be that guy that's gonna be that Gilbert Burns type of guy where, yo, you need to fight next week, I'm down. The week after that, all right, cool, I'm healthy, I'm good. Let's go again.
And I mean, you just mentioned a guy who now he's ranked number 6 in your weight class. You two are always staying active. You think that's a fight we could see down the line?
Yeah, I feel like he's not one of those guys that picks and chooses who he wants to fight. I feel like he always wants to fight the best guy out there. and he's always ready to fight. And I feel like I'm the type of guy to do the same thing. Where, like you said, he's I think he's only 3-0 in the welterweight division. But it's just about momentum. He had two good wins on short notice. He fought Gunnar Nelson on short notice, the other Russian guy on short notice, and then bam, he had a big fight against Maya, and he just showed that rankings don't really mean anything because Maya was like number 5 or 4, and he was like number 13, 12, and he knocked him out. And even with Michael Chiesa wasn't ranked, and he fought Dos Anjos, who was number 5, and I mean he beat him pretty handily. So like I said, it's all about timing. It's all about when that fight comes and being ready. If an injury happens or anything pops off, and if you're that guy to raise your hand and you're ready to fight and you could go and you win, you're the next guy in line.
I think one of the things that the fans love about the sport is the camaraderie between athletes and kind of the bond that's formed after a hard-fought battle. And I noticed you posted a picture that you did some training with your former opponent, Jeff Neal. How was that?
I mean, it was cool. It was real awesome, man. Like I said, like I'm not one of those guys that needs to hate somebody to fight them. I don't need to make it personal, like a Kobe Covington, and say dumbass stuff. They have a great gym down there at Fortis. I was like visiting, cornering somebody down there, and they opened their doors to me. Their coaches were awesome. The team was awesome, and just that martial arts mentality where I don't have to hate you, and it's all about respect. Like we respect, we message each other on Instagram and stuff like that, asking about each other, but just to have that level where, all right, if I'm in Dallas, I could go down there and train, work out with new guys, get new looks, just deal with another great coach like Saif Saud, get his mindset, see what he thinks. Me, I'm one of those guys. I like to get around a lot. Especially when I was in Chicago, I was going to like gym to gym to gym, and I feel like that helped me a lot with myself as a fighter because you're not getting comfortable in the same gym, going with the same guys, and you already know what your training partners are going to do or what they're good at, what they're not good at. So it like makes boring. I mean, it makes sparring a little boring and lackadaisical. But when you go to new gyms, you get new looks. It gives you that fight feel. Like you're all right now. I gotta go a little harder with this guy, or I gotta be patient or not patient with them. And it was great because all of them guys over there, none of them. When you go to the gym, a lot of guys have egos and they want to show off in front of their team. None of them were like that. They're all cool, and it was really cool.
You're the only man in Octagon history to go the distance with Jeff. What do you think the ceiling is on a kid like that?
Man, I feel like he's really good everywhere. I feel like he's one of those guys that's sharp everywhere, but little stuff like that that he's showing now, it's making guys afraid to fight him. It's making guys higher ranked than him saying, "Oh, I could only fight. I won't even want to fight above me. I don't want to fight below me." And that's what I hate about rankings because it gives all right. This guy said he didn't want to fight below him, so it makes it seem like all right. He's right. He doesn't want to fight below him, but you just don't want to fight him because he's on the come up right now, and he's got a lot of momentum, and he's actually good everywhere. So it's just making a lot of guys afraid. But I feel like if he gets the right fights and guys start actually taking the fights, I feel like he'll be top 5 soon.
So you mentioned one of the biggest trash talkers in your division, Colby, and look, there's a chance y'all cross paths at some point in your career. Now, would this be the first time that someone would try to go below the belt with you and talk serious trash since maybe the Chris Curtis fight?
Ah man, I did literally. I wish we get that fight. I was calling for that fight even before he went into his trash talk Kobe days when he was a freaking dork on the street with the sign that said "looking for a fight" when UFC wanted to get him a fight because he was boring loser. But yeah, I mean, I'm one of those guys that loves trash talk. I like guys trash talk. So like, it'll make my fight more exciting for me. So like, I'll go back and forth with people all day because I do it in the gym all day, especially at Rufus Sport. So I feel like I'm training with trash talk and doing all that stuff over there anyway. So just having him, especially with his terrible trash talk, it'll just be a lot funnier for me because I'll make him look stupid.
And what do you think about the skill set he brings to the table, putting the trash talk aside?
No, obviously he's good. He's one of those guys that stays in your face and he'll break a lot of guys just off of cardio. I feel like. I mean, he doesn't punch the hardest, but he's always in your face, and those are the guys that are the worst. The guys that are always in your face, always moving, and it's hard to get clean hits on him just because he's nonstop punching, nonstop shooting on you. You defend the takedown, all right, he's back to punching you again. So those are the worst guys to fight because they never give you a breath, and a lot of guys will break. But I feel like I won't be one of those guys that breaks.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Weren't you supposed to fight Jesse Taylor at one point, who has a very similar style?
Yeah, I was actually supposed to fight Jesse Taylor in Australia, my second UFC fight, but he ended up getting popped for steroids, and I fought what's Maine, Tim Means.
So basically, you've been training for that kind of opponent for a while now, so it wouldn't kind of be like a shock to your training camp at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man, I train with a lot of great wrestlers, a lot of great guys, and my coach Lewis Taylor is one of those guys that when I'm in camp, he's pushing me to breaking point. Like he's always on top of me. He's a lot heavier right now, so he's always pushing me, and he's one of those guys that doesn't make you stop until you're breaking. And I feel like that makes me a lot stronger mentally than a lot of these guys, because a lot of these guys will, all right, we're gonna go 5 minute round, 3 5 minute rounds. That's our training for the day. But with them, we don't do time limits. We go until we're not breathing anymore. We're both laying down with our hands over our head, freaking feet on the wall, trying to catch our breath type thing. We don't go to for time limits or 3 minute rounds or anything like that. We go to breaking points.
And speaking of your coach, Lewis Taylor, I know how much that guy means to you. How amazing was it to see him go out there and win that PFL tournament when he did?
That was, man, like I still haven't had a better day in my life, man. I feel like even uh, bigger accomplishments, my accomplishments don't mean nothing compared to just like seeing him get what he deserves. Like he's been in this game for so long. He had a lot of ups and downs and just a lot of hard thinking stuff. Where when you're down, everybody's afraid to fight you. You start second guessing yourself, like, man, should I have still fight? Should I still train? Should I still that? And I feel like I was one of those guys where I was always trying to push him, like, dude, you're still killing everybody in the gym. Your time will come. Your time will come. Your time will come. He never got a shot in UFC, but I feel like everything happens for a reason. Because I mean, not a lot of guys in the UFC are going to make $1 million, and he did it in 1 year. And the biggest thing for me is just seeing like bigger name fighters like Daniel Cormier, Kamaru Usman, like seeing Lou and like, hey, champ, oh, it's the champ, middleweight champ, and just having them recognize him for how good he is. Because for my whole life, I was like the only one that knew how good he was. I was always telling people, man, you got to see Lou, you got to come train with Lou. And he wasn't able to go to a lot of gyms or travel like I did because he has kids, a family. So a lot of his stuff was staying at home. He never left his original gym. He always built up all of his training partners from amateurs up. He didn't need to bring in bigger names. Even when he fought David Branch, he didn't go to a bigger gym. David Branch trained with a bigger gym, huge gym, a lot of great training partners. But Lou, I was even injured during that camp, so like he was literally training with amateur fighters and just doing his own thing. And it's crazy to think what he would be if he was at like a huge gym, big time gym, and he started there when he was young, man. He's like a Yo Romero where he's like ageless.
Well, Belal, let's get down to some of these fan questions, man. So the fans were really excited that you were coming on Half the Battle. So Garrett wants to know, and I guess he was thinking you were still fighting Lyman. Do you think that a potential win over Lyman gets you that top 15 opponent next? And who would be your ideal top 15 opponent?
Man, yeah, like I said, hopefully I figured that would have got me if I would have went out there and put on a good show like I was planning on doing against Lyman. Uh, Basically, anybody in the top 15, I'm trying to fight. I was looking for Michael Chiesa. I feel like that would be a good fight for me. But I'll get any of those wins back. Luque or even Neil again too. Like either one of those guys, I don't care. Just want to work my way up the ladder again. Number 15 is Conor McGregor. So hey, I'll start at number 15 and work my way back up.
Kevin wants to know who has the better cardio between you and your boy Paul Felder.
Oh man, there's levels to this. Paul sits out here. He jogs a little, couple miles, but that ain't fighting cardio. I got better cardio than Paul.
So another question. What skill out of the whole basket of MMA do you credit most for your success, and what area do you think you need the most growth for?
I feel like wrestling is the biggest skill. Just like I never wrestled in college, I wrestled in high school, but I worked with a lot of great wrestlers. Lewis Taylor was a Division I wrestler, and I feel like that changes everything for everybody because it's mindset. So like even wrestling it's a grind practice. It's not like jiu-jitsu where you could rest in the guard or anything like that. Wrestling is when you're going to hard wrestling practice, your guys are going to breaking points, and you really see how tough you really are if you get to a real hard wrestling practice.
You also want to know, what's the sparring like at Rufus Sport? Do y'all just go 80% all the time? Does it change time by time? Let us know.
Yeah, man. Nobody over there is trying to kill each other. I feel like everybody over there is looking to help each other out, especially if guys got fights. That's the great thing about it is like your training partners will emulate your opponent. Nobody over there has egos where like they don't want to look bad. Like, man, if you see Mike Biggie Rhodes, literally like probably the best athlete I've ever seen in my life, where he could emulate any fighter and like he's so athletic for being freaking probably like 250 pounds right now, but he'll sit there and do a black backflip spinneroonie, and you'll be like, what the heck? And yeah, like even for when Anthony fought Wonderboy, like just his style, like he emulated him to the down to the T, where he had that karate style, jumping up the whole time, bouncing in and out. It was crazy, man. And just seeing it, and then how he could switch it up right when Anthony fought Diaz, did the same thing that Diaz does. But I feel like the great thing about Rufus Sport is the guys over there want to see you win. They're not like training partners that, oh, he's in the UFC. Let me prove that I could be in the UFC too by making him look bad. Those guys over there, nobody's like that. Nobody has the egos over there is trying to make you grow together.
And shout out to my boy Mike Biggie Rhodes, longtime friend of the show. So Dylan wants to know, has Belal Muhammad ever bet on himself? And just so you know, it's completely legal to bet on yourself.
I actually don't gamble, but I'll circle myself on my picks though.
Nice. Gotta believe in yourself in this day and age. So MMA Sanders says, what's the most important fight you've ever won?
I feel like the most important fight I ever won was that Steve Carl fight. I feel like uh, just because it got me over that hump of finally getting into the UFC. It was on the come up. When you're in the small organizations and you're working your way up. You get to 6-0. You're like, all right, man, UFC's not looking at me yet. 7-0, man, UFC's still not looking at me. 8-0, you're like, all right, man, maybe I should get a real job or another job if they're still not offering me fights. And I had a while where I had like a 6 to 8 months where I wasn't getting any calls from Titan, no opponents or anything like that. They weren't offering me anything. So then I started just going on Twitter, calling out guys from other shows, like trying to hop on other shows. Then Titan finally offered me a title fight. But it's hard when you're not in the UFC. You don't have a bunch of shows back to back to back where you have opportunities to hop on a card. When you're on the come up, man, it's crazy. When you're on the smaller shows, it's a lot about just believing in